Happy to welcome you back to the Manny Diaz Show. Joe Zagacki and Don Bailey Jr., University of Miami head coach Manny Diaz. We will all be assembled at Hard Rock Stadium on Saturday at 12:30 for Miami and Georgia Tech. You had two great wins here, back-to-back top 20 wins. How do you keep that momentum going into this game against Georgia Tech?
Yeah, well, we now have the adversity of success, right? I mean, now people are patting us on the back, patting our players on the back. You know, guys are getting individual accolades, and you know, what we told the team in our team meeting on Sunday was you have to treat criticism and praise the same way. If you hold on to both, either is unhealthy. We cannot lose our edge. We cannot lose a feeling that our backs are against the wall, because guess what? They're still against the wall. We are not in first place in the Coastal Division. Our margin for error is 0 to accomplish the goals that we set out to accomplish. We know we need some help, but we also know that we can control. And before we talk about any other game, we've got to beat Georgia Tech in our stadium on Saturday. We remember what happened the last time that they were here. That was a bad day. We were very disappointed to not be able to play them a year ago under difficult circumstances. So we now welcome them back, and it's really important that we've got another edge, that we start fast like we have the last couple of weeks. You know, have a great crowd behind us, and are ready to play 60 minutes of football and what we'd imagine will be another difficult ACC clash.
And it seems this football team has circled the wagons around the locker room or this building or the team. And, you know, you go into the game against Pitt, you have no Bubba Bolden, you have no Nessa Jade Silvera. Two guys, well, Bolden was your leading tackler and the communicator back there, and Silvera is your leading tackler on your defensive line, and you still are able to produce. And these guys it's almost a plug-and-play mentality, which is very difficult with young guys in college football.
It really is. I mean, we don't talk a lot about what we don't have. I mean, we just sort of talk about what we have and what we need to do, and because no matter who we have or don't have, the expectation really doesn't change. And you're right. I mean, the team is close. The team does. I think they recognize that there is a power in how close they are, and that helps us play well. And I think that really where that shows up is over the 4 games we've played in league over the last 10 minutes. You know, I know defensively the last 2 drives of the 4 games, equaling 8 total drives, we've only given up 2 field goals in that time. And have a bunch of 3 and outs, interception, 4th down stop. You know, I mean, so when it gets into game-winning play, when you really got to depend on your teammates and see it through, we've been really good in those situations, and that's something that we can take a lot of confidence in going forward.
Now, we didn't get to a couple of those big plays down the stretch. James Williams' interception, he was recognized by the ACC, and then again another huge 3rd down play connection. The game on the line, hanging in the balance, put the ball in the air. That sealed the game. Trickled out a little nervous tension there for a while, but nonetheless, it was a big play.
It was a huge play. Well, there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, first, you know, we just barely get the ball to the end zone. You know, which goes to review, and it was the right call. But you know, the one thing that served us well over the last couple of weeks is we're going to be aggressive in those game-winning times. And it was 2nd down and long, and we're going to throw the ball out of there. We're going to trust Tyler. And Charleston Rambo just made a big-time play. Tyler made a big-time throw. Gets you out from the shadow of your own goalpost. Jalen makes a great run on 1st down, so we got like 2nd and 3, and then you mentioned it comes down to 3rd down. And very similar to the NC State game the week before, you know, hey, we can run it and punt and give the ball back to Kenny Pickett. And, you know, they're out of timeouts, and they need a touchdown to win, but they still have the football. And when you have the football, anything can happen. So we want to be aggressive. We want to trust our players. We want to trust Tyler, and you know, Rhett makes a great call, you know, getting the ball out there to Will. Now, the part with the ball rolling around, that was in slow motion. That seemed like it took forever. And but how about Tyler Van Dyke being Johnny on the spot and running over there and helping it out of bounds? And it did end up being out in front of the line to gain. And these are the plays, right? That's the 4 inches that it was, maybe the 4 inches that the field goal hits the goalpost against Virginia. These are the things that, you know, over the course of the year sometimes tend to balance out. But I do feel the aggression that we showed and the way that our players responded when we hand them that trust in those late game situations sees us through.
Coach, you know the exact answer to this question, but Zach McLeod in that ball game looks like Zach McLeod, the defensive end. He was transitioning from last year. We had him in the bowl game for that start as well, and he's been battling and working and grinding. He's getting great coaching by Coach Jess Simpson, and he's doing a fine job. But he looked at home in that game.
that was Zach's best game at defensive end without a doubt. And again, think about it: 66 drop back pass opportunities. That's a hard game because
it's
you
a
want to talk about
long
wearing
day.
you out. That's a real day at the office. I thought he was excellent. I thought DeAndre Johnson was excellent. Again, sometimes they got their shoulder pads sticking out of their jersey, because who knows how that's happening. But they were relentless. I mean, really, one of the sort of forgotten plays before the James Williams interception is the sack. Mm-hmm. And to go that hard, we brought pressure, but to go that just when you watch how relentless everybody rushing the quarterback is on that snap, when it is the 65th drop back pass that they called. One, it's a credit to our strength and conditioning program with David Feely, but also just the ability for us to substitute and play too deep on our defensive line, and then just how hard those guys can go and push themselves.
You held Pitt to 68 yards rushing, holding opponents to 3.8 yards per rush. So those numbers are going in the right direction, but you have a team coming in that does want to run the football with a really good running back. Gibbs is a really good, speedy, elusive running back with really good vision.
They have two good running backs, and obviously Mason had a great game when he was here 2 years ago. And then the quarterback, Sims, is probably the most talented runner on their team, and that's taking nothing away from the other. I mean, they've got some guys, they've got some skill. They've upgraded a wide receiver from what they had. Again, they're coming out of a triple option offense, so it's been a yearly process to improve the talent on their football team. But yes, I would tell you that over the course of the 4 ACC games, and when we do all the sort of quality control, I think we're 2 out of 3 runs are for 3 yards or less, which is really, really good. We're 1 out of 4 runs is a tackle for loss. 1 out of 1 every 4 or 5 plays is a tackle for loss. So we do like the way we're playing up front. We do like the way the backers are fitting versus the run. We obviously have to continue to try to improve our pass defense, which was obviously we saw that on Saturday. But I keep saying if your defensive performance starts with the way you stop the run, and that was a big point of emphasis coming into 2021, and we are seeing the improvements.
Georgia Tech on their defense, another odd front team. Miami's had a little bit of experience with that, but they have they implemented that when Coach Collins got there, and it just gets better and better as well. Yeah,
they have really gone overdrive on it this year to more of the not just odd, but the 3 safety look, and it is another new week for Tyler Van Dyke. I mean, Tyler can't get the same defense 2 weeks in a row. They are structurally as different from Pittsburgh as you can be. So different visuals, different clues and keys on when they hand the ball off, the RPO game, where to go with the ball when you drop back and throw it. They do it to try to confuse quarterbacks and try to force mistakes, and it gets a lot of speed on the field for them. They get a bunch of athletes out there because they got a bunch of defensive backs, and they have a lot of defensive backs that have a lot of career starts and have got some experience. You got to find a way to hit some explosive plays on them. They've had a little bit of an issue with that. We're always at our best when we can hit, pop some explosives and then be able to sustain the drives that we've talked about over the last couple of weeks.
By the way, away from University of Miami, just inside the league in general, good luck playing defense. Georgia Tech gave up 639 yards to Virginia a couple weeks ago. Virginia and BYU at halftime the other night, I think it was 45-42. Ended up 69-48. And we mentioned Pickett, Tyler Van Dyke throwing the ball all over the place. Offense in this league has become a juggernaut.
I don't know why it's not talked about more nationally. This league has the best quarterbacks in the country, and number 2 is way far behind. I mean, in our division, I mean Armstrong at Virginia, he only leads the nation, right? Pitt was 5th in the country in scoring, and Pickett may be the first guy drafted. Sam Howell, despite losing who he's losing, if you watch what he did at Notre Dame on Saturday night, I mean, the guy's a magician with not much help. I mean, he's playing his tail off over there. Hartman's killing it for Wake Forest. I mean, there's guys. You got Cunningham, who's an experienced guy at Louisville. BC lost their guys. They got Syracuse playing a high level. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks in our guy, right. In our offense, and quarterbacks. It's a little bit. You see how the leagues kind of ebb and flow a little bit. Remember, we're only 1 year removed from an SEC championship game where the final was 52-45 or whatever. When you had 2 really, really high level quarterbacks playing, and you look at what we've been through this year. When you add in who we've played in the league, and then throw in Thorne at Michigan State and Young at Alabama. We've played some proper quarterbacks as well, so it's been a test for us. Obviously we've not had the right answers at all times, but we're improving, and I think that's the point. Our personnel is improving, and we're getting better as the season goes on. I think that's the whole key.
Another thing that needs explanation too, Coach, is you as on the defensive side of the football, you start looking at numbers and you start looking at yards, but I highly recommend you go look at play count. because 10 years ago and 5 years ago it's 60, 65. Now it's 75, 85, 90, 100. You're seeing plays. You're almost playing an additional quarter sometimes in a football game as a defense.
That's right. Yeah. What was unique about Saturday, because when we were off to a great start in the first half, obviously Pitt scored the first time they had it. We messed up 2 third downs, but then we stop them the next 2 times, and then we score, I think, on a 3-play drive, on a 2-play drive. So we were scoring fast, which is fantastic. We're not against that. We love scoring every way we can score, but yeah, I think we'd played 26 plays of defense in the first quarter, and maybe 50 something like that by the first half. So that's a lot. That's a lot of volume. It went down a little bit in the second half, but yeah, when you finish the game playing 85 snaps of defense, again, I always say it's like baseball. If they play 12 innings, there'll be a lot more points. There are a lot more runs scored. So it's just kind of common sense.
Your offense had 5 plays of 20 yards or more in the first 10 plays of the game.
Right.
Your offense also now is up to number 17 in the country in terms of passing offense, 300 yards a game. In total offense, you're up to number 36. So made a lot of strides here with a freshman quarterback, backup center, backup left guard, and down to one running back, and you're in the top 40 in 2 pretty big offensive categories.
And Joe, this is not by accident. I mean, look, when we made a decision on what we were going to do as a program, remember, nothing happens in a vacuum. When we decided to bring in Rhett Lashley and get to an up-tempo spread offense with air raid principles and really push the accelerator on tempo, that's a program decision. Obviously that's going to have an effect on your defense. You know what I mean? And again, we can play much better defense, but we want to evolve into what's going on in college sports right now. And you're not winning if you're not scoring. That's just the bottom line. So it gives our team great confidence, because we've all been in those games where if we gave up 20, it felt like, ooh boy, I'm not sure if that's, we can find 20 points. And now we know we're in every game because we can throw the football. We can throw the football when we want it. We mentioned the RPO game and our ability to run the football, and to be able to compete on offense now, to me, gives us a chance to win every football game. We keep getting better in the secondary and kind of growing up there and dialing some things in. The improvements will come on defense. But if you can't score in college football right now, you ain't got a chance.
And what do you believe the identity of this team is? We knew what it was when we started the season with De'Aaron King, and then the mishap with him. Unfortunately, he's out for the season. But it was you almost had to recreate this football team with his injury and all the other ones even Joe mentioned. I think you're on your 4th captain. Like you said, nobody even wants to be captain.
Right.
They're worried about that. But what is the new identity that you think is here on this football team right now?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's resiliency. Mm-hmm. I think that's what we show every week. These guys just play. They play extraordinarily hard. They play for each other. They've been through a lot. Emotionally, what they went through the first 6 weeks with the guys, that are out. I mean, those guys don't just vanish. I mean, they see these guys walking around on crutches in this building every day. That's a reminder.
They're in the meetings.
Yeah, they're in the meetings. These are their friends. These are the guys that they sweat out on Green Tree Field all summer with. But what I love about them is that they just persevere through whatever. And even when the results weren't coming beginning of the year, and we had to kind of had our sort of hell week during bye week to make sure that we were all still up for the fight, and nobody flinched at that time. And I think going through some of the things that we went through has made us stronger. We had to play better. We had to coach better. We had to play better, because we were tough. We were resilient, but we were still making too many mistakes to win a football game. And we're making less of those mistakes now. Certainly we're tackling better on defense. That's tangible. You mentioned we're blocking better on offense. That's real. But those are things in the course of the season, from a technique standpoint, that do improve as players improve. But I think when you look at what we are, I think that's defined by our mental toughness and our resiliency.
Well, we'll wrap up this segment with this. I think some of the things we discussed, the unity that we've seen, the enthusiasm, the passion, the big plays on both sides of the ball has been fun to watch. And I think for a lot of other kids also keeping an eye on it, they're noticing it's a fun place to play. So
that's exactly right.
All right. We will continue on the show right after this.
Sure are a lot of different drivers out there, and AutoNation is here for every one of them. The 10 and 2ers, the big fellas, nothing but the besters, even rock stars. But we do way more than sell new and pre-owned vehicles. We believe in something bigger, too. For every vehicle we sell or service, we donate to Drive Out Cancer. Over $28 million so far. What drives you, drives us. AutoNation.
With UHealth Virtual Clinics, you can see our experts in every specialty wherever you are.
University of Miami health system providers are available here for all your healthcare needs.
All you need is a phone or tablet to schedule a virtual visit with us.
See a UHealth provider virtually today or at a time that's convenient for you.
Visit umiamihealth.org/virtual clinics or call 305-243-4000.